We are now joined by SABC International News Editor Sophie Mokoena, who is indeed in Sharm el-Sheikh for us. A very good day to you, Sophie. All right, well, the Brazilian President-elect Lula da Silva says that his administration will return Brazil to the international stage, to its former glory, I suppose, particularly on issues of global interest. Let's talk about that. Can you tell us more about what was said, seemingly very confident?
Well, indeed, he was very confident. Let me indicate that he is still president-elect. He will only be the president of Brazil after the inauguration next year. But he visited the Amazon pavilion just next to the Brazil pavilion. You know that in terms of the Brazil pavilion, we still have the outgoing government. And his arrival, it became a hectic moment as many journalists scrambled for positions so that they can record and also catch a glimpse of him and also document his arrival. He's quite fit, I must say, and he looks good, he looks very confident, and the very same Lula that I know years ago when he used to be part of the BRICS nations and representing BRICS, but also the man behind South-South cooperation. And you know that his relationship with South Africa was quite strong, dates back to the administration of former President Thabo Mbeki, then President Jacob Zuma, and even now the South African Communist Party, the Workers' Federations in South Africa, SAFTU, COSATU, and the governing party, the ANC, having strong relations with his Workers' Party. And he was very confident. I mean, for me, what was important, it is when he indicated that he is going to speak to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to indicate to him that Brazil stands ready to host a COP summit should the opportunity present itself. Because unfortunately next year it is the United Arab Emirates, then Australia. But he says his country is ready to host COP, and that speaks to what he stands for in terms of issues related to climate change.
Sophie, COP26 President al-Sheikh is also is at this year's summit, saying that ministers at COP27 must visit the Ukrainian pavilion so that they can get first-hand information about Russia's invasion. Talk to us about that, and also on the back of the fact that Russia had been blamed for a missile that landed in Poland, and now of course we've got the full story that it was in fact coming from Ukraine. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of different talk given all the changes in the story. What are we hearing, and what are the leaders actually saying about this, and were there surprises?
Yes, you are correct. He was at the Ukraine pavilion and he was going around, and I quickly took out my cell phone and recorded him, asked him a question in terms of the significance of his visit to that pavilion, looking at what's happening currently. He pointed out, that he is the president of COP26, the outgoing president. Now it is going to be Egypt. And he spoke about the situation in Ukraine and really emphasizing that it is important for ministers who are gathered here and ordinary people or delegates to visit that pavilion to get first-hand information in terms of what's happening in Ukraine. Unfortunately, with Russia, yesterday I visited the minister's office. He was not there, but also there is no pavilion for the Russians here at COP27. I don't know, perhaps issues related to the war in Ukraine kind of affected their participation here, but we know the minister is here and some officials. And on the issue of the missiles, it has since transpired, or there are new information. There's a new information that it looks like it is not a Russian missile. We don't know. The investigations are continuing, but this is what President Joe Biden told leaders at Bali, Indonesia. You saw that standoff between President Xi Jinping of China and Justin Trudeau of Canada, where Xi Jinping is accusing him of leaking information in Bali. And you can see that There's tension around the world. We don't know what's likely to happen. This war in Ukraine, and it looks like it is going to be a protracted one. And the tension is escalating in Eastern Europe. The president of South Africa had to shorten his visit and his participation because the whole G20 program did change, and therefore he decided that it will be better for him to leave the meeting, because you then had meetings of the G7 and also of NATO.
All right, Sophie, let's leave it there. Thanks very much to you. That's Sophie Mokoena, SABC News, International News Editor, for us, talking to us from Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt.